going into proxy season and we're all sitting on boards, what should be worrying us or what should we be thinking about?
If I were a board of director member, I think I would be worried about the increasing pace and scope of regulation. We have seen a breathtaking period from the SEC with regard to proxy rules, cybersecurity, different diversity metrics, ESG reporting. We haven't even gotten to the climate change rules. I think I would look at the board and I would make sure that between my skill set and the skill set of my fellow board members that we had it all covered. Because there's a lot going on, Caremark claims are on the rise, and you want to make sure that between the lane that you occupy and that your fellow board members occupy, that you've really got it covered. Because I think there's a lot more that you are responsible for. You are responsible for it more quickly than you used to be. And I think that really evaluating and clearly making the case to shareholders and to yourself that we have the skills that we need and we've got this covered. I think that's what I would concern myself with.
I think from my perspective, dealing with a lot of activism, and I think this kind of keys off what Clint had said earlier, make a lot of changes on a clear day to look at your board skill sets, the mix, look at your governance, because changes that you make when an activist comes knocking, you don't get full credit for. And it's much better. I mean, it's better to make them than not sometimes. But if you have made those changes in a clear day, number one, I think it insulates you a little bit from activists because you don't have as many easy kind of low-hanging fruit for them to pick on. But I think you also get more credit for it.
I would say this is not about 2024, but it's about looking forward, including 2024. Sort the chaff from the wheat. Think about the shareholder proposals, the shareholder initiatives, what you're hearing in engagement, what you're hearing about how much you should engage and everything else. You can completely lose your way if you listen to that. For one thing, there is no voice of the shareholder. There's a cacophony of them, and you hear the loudest ones or the most interesting ones. That's not really helpful. You need to find, you probably already know, but you need to stick to what's the North Star of the board. What is best for this company and its shareholders? I would say what's best for the shareholders over the long term, and guide that way, and then make it clear to the shareholders all the way along while you're doing that. It's going to be especially important in the context that Clint's describing, because you've got this proliferation of regulatory and interest rates and everything else. With that much smoke in the air, it's going to be too easy to sort of lose focus. And once you start losing focus and you drift, that's when you're really going to run into, you might run into ramifications from the regulators. You're really going to run into it from the shareholders. The only way that I know through that is to not listen to a lot of it, but figure out in advance which parts of it you do need to listen to.
Great. With that, we'll wrap up. I want to thank Chris and Paul and Clint for being here. I could sit and talk to these guys all day long.